Formula One is about to undergo an unprecedented transformation in 2026 as if the FIA pressed a total reset button on the sport. Everything from aerodynamics and car design to energy efficiency and environmental standards will be reshaped by a brand new set of technical regulations. Some call it a rebirth, others worry it could spiral into another round of regulatory chaos. Will this transformation make F1 more exciting and competitive, or will it spark new controversy? In this series, I'll be breaking down the 2026 regulations, and today we'll start with the biggest changes and what they might mean. But before we jump in, if you're a fan of Formula One and want to keep up with everything behind the scenes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and let's get started. One of the most talked about changes lies in the engine regulations. The MGU-H motor generator unit heat will be removed from F1 altogether. This system has been a key part of energy recovery in the hybrid era, converting exhaust heat into electrical energy. However, its complexity and high cost have long been a major barrier to entry for new manufacturers and a heavy burden even for existing teams. The FIA's decision to eliminate the MGU-H aims to simplify power unit design, reduce development costs, and lower the entry barrier for new suppliers. From 2026, the power unit will consist of just the internal combustion engine, ICE, the MGU-K, which recovers kinetic energy, and a battery system. The goal? A simpler, lighter, and more agile design, one that's cheaper to develop and more dynamic on track. More importantly, the power output split will shift from the current 70% engine, 30% electric to an even 50-50 balance, giving electricity a far greater role in propulsion. On paper, this looks like a step forward in sustainability, but the reality is far more complex. The MGU-H plays a critical role in maintaining turbocharger speed, which in turn reduces turbo lag. Without it, engineers face a major challenge: how to maintain consistent power delivery without compromising drivability. Former Red Bull team boss Christian Horner has already warned about the risk of cars running out of battery mid-lap, especially at power-hungry tracks like Baku or Spa. In those situations, drivers may be forced to lift and coast just to save energy, ruining the race flow and overtaking opportunities. That could severely hurt the spectacle of Formula One racing. Additionally, with electricity making up half of total power output, battery systems, control units, and energy deployment strategies become critical. Rumor has it Mercedes is already testing a more efficient energy management system, one that can deliver consistent power even without MGU-H. If true, Mercedes could retain its technical dominance even under the new rules. On the other hand, Honda is not as optimistic. They argue that while MGU-H is expensive, it represents the pinnacle of F1 technology, and eliminating it may risk turning F1 into a standardized, characterless competition. Honda, now powering Aston Martin from 2026, faces the dual pressure of adapting to new rules and rebuilding a works team partnership from scratch. Meanwhile, new suppliers like Audi are joining the game precisely because of the MGU-H's removal. The lower entry cost, combined with F1's push toward carbon neutrality and 100% sustainable fuels, aligns perfectly with the research goals of many European manufacturers. Audi sees this as a chance to take technical leadership in the new era. This engine revolution is not just about hardware, it's going to change how cars are driven and how drivers manage their energy. Engineers point out that without MGU-H, drivers must learn to be much more precise in managing battery usage, recovery timing, and mid-race energy strategy. Take Lewis Hamilton as an example. There have been claims that he never fully adapted to the current ground effect cars. Add new engine dynamics into the mix, and it's clear this transition could affect many drivers in different ways. Overall, while removing MGU-H simplifies things and lowers the costs, the unknowns are significant. Will teams like Mercedes and Ferrari continue to dominate power unit performance, or will challengers like Honda and Audi use this opportunity to upset the status quo? We'll have to wait for 2026 to find out. Besides the engine, aerodynamics is another area facing a total reset. From 2026, F1 cars will be narrower by 10 cm, shorter by 20 cm, and roughly 30 kg lighter. Tires will also shrink in diameter, moving towards a smaller, nimbler chassis design. This entire redesign aims to address one of F1's biggest racing problems, dirty air. The extreme downforce of current cars creates massive turbulence for the car behind, making overtaking harder, especially in high-speed circuits. When trailing within 1 second, the chasing car can lose over 20% of its downforce, impacting grip and tire wear. The 2022 groundified cars already tried to fix this by channeling airflow under the car, but DRS trains and follow-the-leader racing are still common at tracks like Suzuka, Imola, and Monza. FIA's solution? Shrink the rear wing, redesign diffuser curves, and narrow Venturi tunnels, aiming to cut overall downforce by 30%. This should help cars maintain grip even in dirty air and get closer for overtakes. Plus, shorter wheelbases and lighter cars should improve agility in low-speed corners, tackling the common complaint that modern F1 cars are too bulky to turn sharply. Another massive change, the end of DRS. After more than a decade, the drag reduction system will be retired and replaced by full-scale active aero. The current DRS allows cars within 1 second to open their rear wing and boost straight-line speed, but critics have long argued it makes overtaking too easy, reducing skill and defensive driving. Some even see it as an insult to talented racers. Personally, I think DRS overtakes do require skill, especially in defending, but that's a discussion for another day. The new active aero system, by contrast, uses sensors and onboard computers to automatically adjust downforce in real time, decreasing drag on straights and increasing grip in corners. No buttons, no zones. Just dynamic, automated, aerodynamic balance. While this sounds futuristic, it's not necessarily easier to drive. Constant changes in downforce require drivers to adapt to shifting braking points, steering response, and rear stability, especially in extreme conditions like wet races or tire degradation. Veterans like Hamilton and Alonso might benefit, as they're among the few on the grid who've raced without DRS. Alonso believes active aero will force drivers to concentrate more and rely on raw skill, a return to F1's roots. On the flip side, younger drivers raised on simulator time and DRS assistance may struggle. Midfield teams with fewer resources might also fall behind in understanding how to fine-tune active aero, making this another silent elimination game. Strategically, the removal of DRS zones means overtaking no longer relies on staying within 1 second. Instead, winning a duel may come down to overall driving efficiency and exploiting dynamic aero changes. Fewer dirty air effects should allow cars to follow more closely, but variable aero adds a new layer of complexity and risk during overtakes. F1 engineers also warn that active aero will require massive data processing and algorithm development. Teams will write their own control software under FIA's constraints, meaning coding could become the next competitive frontier, just like wind tunnels used to be. Some engineers argue that cutting too much downforce will make drivers lose confidence, especially in fast corners. Smaller tires also mean a smaller contact patch with the track, which could lead to more lockups and tire degradation, particularly in wet conditions. Even Adrian Newey has voiced concerns. While he supports reducing dirty air, he warns against gutting aerodynamic performance altogether. Instead of limiting aero, Newey suggests designing rules that promote natural, balanced competition. There will also be new restrictions on parts like the T-wing and S-duct to prevent teams from exploiting gray areas. While this may hurt teams that rely heavily on airflow trickery, FIA's top priority remains fair competition. In short, the 2026 aero regulations represent a tug-of-war between technical purity and on-track entertainment. Whether FIA can strike that balance remains to be seen. How are drivers responding? Many have already tested the 2026 concept in simulators, and feedback is mixed. Lance Stroll bluntly compared it to a science experiment. Lando Norris said it doesn't feel like driving a proper F1 car. Verstappen says the smaller chassis doesn't bother him, but warns that cutting too much downforce could kill the fun. F1 is supposed to be the fastest racing on Earth. If the cars get too slow, they lose their identity. On the other hand, Alonso supports the changes, saying he'd rather have intense wheel-to-wheel racing than ask his teammate to open DRS over the radio. For veterans like him and Hamilton, lower downforce isn't a deal-breaker. Excitement matters more. Hamilton is open-minded, calling the change bold but necessary, and urges everyone to give it time. FIA is taking this seriously. To avoid disasters like the 2014 engine rules or the 2022 porpoising saga, the first round of 2026 testing will be done behind closed doors, no live stream, no fans. Even the FIA admits simulator data can't predict real-world behavior, and only on-track testing will reveal the true picture. So what do you think? Will 2026 really bring racing back to the drivers, or will it be a spectacular failure? The key questions will be around energy management, aerodynamics, and driver adaptability. Will F1 remain a driver sport or become a programmer's battleground? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video!